Right? And I'm not playing no games. Yeah.
I am Pops, and welcome. I know. It says Doctor Strange #1 comic book. Remember when Doctor Strange came out in theaters, and it would have been a good chance to really get some fans and maybe turn around Doctor Strange comic book sales or really kind of make a mark and that kind of thing. Yeah, remember that because what was actually happening in comic books was that Doctor Strange was dead. Yeah, that's right. The movie was more about, you know, this character, right? She's the MacGuffin that Doctor Strange took around. She was basically the glorified first puppy that took over the film. And then at the end of the movie, we get this. We get, oh yeah, look, he had a wife or he had a girlfriend or something, and he gets a third eye. And oh yeah. Because in the comic book, see, that's what was happening because death finally means something in comic books now that Doctor Strange is dead. A clickbaity title that is not aged well because guess what, folks? Doctor Strange is back in the most uninteresting manner you can possibly think. Doctor Strange was dead. In those months, much has happened. His wife Clea took up the mantle of Earth, Sorcerer Supreme, and she basically fought the remains of S.H.I.E.L.D's secret magic division called Wand, something I am not familiar with, but Clea took them down. Now Doctor Strange is back, and it's time to see what the world's been up to in his absence. Yes, that's the pitch. The comic book's pitch is let's see what everybody's been up to. Do you feel like you're like a friends reunion? Do you feel like it's like this cheesy, cheeky nonsense like I do? I mean, I just feel I don't know. It's just So this is how it starts, and you know how I feel. There's plenty of pastels and colors. And so he's writing, he's making out with his little lady right there, and he's hanging out with his little ghost dog, and isn't it all sweet and funny and cute and whatever? And he goes about his days where now instead of just having pinks and purples and stuff, we get some blues. And it's like a day by day, like what's been going on. It's like literally like living out your life, little mini adventures and things like that. I thought this scene on the right with Doctor Doom is just awful. Like Doom is kind of like put in this place of almost like being the beta in this grand scheme of things, as though he should be Sorcerer Supreme in his eyes, and instead it was her, and it's just there's no tension at all. They try to play it up maybe as a little bit, but Jed MacKay, who's the writer, it's just terrible. Meanwhile, he gets a phone call. He's in the middle of dealing with something, and Daredevil is fighting some trash monster and needs some help, and he just can't be bothered. He just can't be bothered, and says, "quote The Warlord of Manhattan will be with him." Like that's what she calls herself. Now I don't know if that was a name that was really given to her or whatever. I don't know that they think it's a great idea to call her a warlord. I don't find it appealing, but I can tell you it fits because you can see with the way it's drawn on the right, she is very, very nasty because they have these children, and the story goes they try again, it's like these different days represent little moments or a couple pages before we get to an actual story, so to speak. And that was these sort of like spiritual migrants and confronts this person who's like, quote, you're enslaving them. And he's like, look, ma'am, I'm just doing what I'm told. And she's like, how convenient for you. Right. There she is, boss lady. Right. And then when we kind of keep moving, again, love the colors. Oh, yuck. Uh, she has just got this scowl on her face. She's so nasty. And this is her confronting um the villain, basically. This is the villain of the book, or so we're supposed to believe, right? It's supposed to be. um and he's like, who's invading here? Clea Strange. And it's like, it's like, I don't have any patience for you, uh agamon agamon. These are Kalameshi's refugees, and I will take possession of them now. She's like, you take possession of my slaves? You must be joking. Do I appear to be a comedian? She is just this authoritarian. Look how aggressive she is with her scowls and her screams. And she's embarrassing Strange as he's trying to discuss all this. And his face, look at how little the art is just so generic, almost like copy and paste moments with very little changes. Um, and nothing of interest is actually happening in all of this. It's just a lot of talking and talking and talking. And then as it starts to go, she becomes completely nuts. She's not taking it. My husband, she's been killing. See, my husband, she's away killing, but I do not. Like, shies away. Like, so in other words, Steven doesn't want to do any killing, but she's like, no, I will. Right. And he's like, I'm not, listen, I'm not having all this, man. You need to just leave. And then he tries to reason with her, and look at this puckered, cringy face that he gives her. I don't know what face this is supposed to represent because it's not exactly like a duck lips thing, but it's kind of like, what am I supposed to get? What am I supposed to get out of this? So he goes back. He's inner dialoguing as she's storming around in the background. So he's trying to talk about how he's going to make peace at this, how he's going to work through all of this, and she's storming around, just fuming that she didn't get her way, and Steven didn't just let her do what she wanted to do. And then, oh, by the way, it's okay. We're going to interrupt the story because She-Hulk calls on the crystal ball. So on the right, that's She-Hulk's head floating on the little crystal ball. You have a call, Steven, and She-Hulk's got a problem. So we distract from the story, take a call from She-Hulk. And meanwhile, when we cut back at the end of the book and we see basically Agamon with his little slave girl. Do you remember Ula from, she's the, Ula is the Jabba the Hutt dancer in Return of the Jedi. You know, Ula la, get it? Ula. Uh, the green thing that's barely wearing any clothes, being the dance. That's kind of what the little blue girl is. She's just this slave girl for Agamon, and then he gets zapped, and notice it's like schluck, strange schluck. I, I was like, is that a sound effect? Like strange schluck. I Klingon, you guys that are Trekkies, can you give me some strange schluck interpretation there? Because I was like, dude's dead is what we're getting. We're meant to think that it's Clea. Clearly, they're going to divert our expectations. We'll see. And then they do something that I completely hated. And I saw this really only on the DC side recently. I have not read a lot of modern books, but what I have read, I can't stand it because they did it in Batman and I didn't enjoy it. And that is they stick in a second story. So you turn the page and now you have a second story. Freak out. And you have all of this. It looks like this, and it's about those agents of Wand that were mentioned in the beginning. Now, will at least it say you can note here there's at least a footnote so you know what these people are. There's at least a little more information if you're not totally up to date or wanting to do a whole bunch of homework and whatever. And basically, it's like a little magic club, and they kind of are going along, and they've got their little crystal ball that they can look at. You know, beep, beep, beep. They can look at their own little crystal ball. And when they do, they see, look, dude's dead, head's ripped off, blood on the ground, and does not look like it's actual pooled blood, by the way. Just looks terrible photoshopping digital art. I have no idea what they did to her face on this bottom panel. This guy barely has any like, this is Marvel, you're not really giving us much to work with. I'm just going to be honest. You are just not giving us much to work with. So, yeah, um, Doctor Strange #1, and I was a little. I I didn't have any expectations. I thought it was going to be them trying to reboot and doing it in a manner that might make people want to buy a comic book. Like the whole point would be do something that would really bring some interest back. And instead, we got that, which is, Jed MacKay, Pasqual Ferry, and Matt Hollingsworth does the colors. Yeah, terrible. Freaking waste of my time. So, anyway, that's my take on it. Pops.